everyone, and welcome to the webinar. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Lauren Hallinan, and I'm the head of marketing at Chatly. And as I already said, welcome to today's webinar. So today we're going to be talking about WeChat for financial services. And while this topic is relevant at any time, I think it's a particularly appropriate time to hold this webinar because of everything going on around the world with COVID-19. You know, prior to the pandemic, Chinese consumers were already demanding that, financial firms bring their services online and adapt to their digital lifestyles. But I think this is even more relevant now. So we're going to discuss some different things about this today. First, we're going to hear from Chatly Customer Success Manager, Michelle Chen, who's going to guide you through a 5-step process for setting up your WeChat official account to optimize the new user experience. And then we're going to hear from Katie Ryan, who is the Director of Asia Product and Technology Solutions at TD Ameritrade. And she's going to share how TDA has worked with Chatly to undergo digital transformation on WeChat and some of the key ways that TDA is using WeChat in order to better engage their clients and leads, their Chinese clients and leads. And then at the end of the webinar, we're going to have an open Q&A session with both Katie and Jeff Fish, who is co-CEO of Chatly. He's going to come on at that time. I saw some great questions come through during the registrations on your registration forms, and we will be sure to address those questions during the Q&A session if they haven't already been answered throughout the course of the presentations today. And last but not least, before we get started, last week we published a 42-page white paper on WeChat for financial services. So if you're interested in checking that out, you want more information than what you're going to get today during this webinar, then you can head over to chatly.com, and right on our homepage of the website, right at the top, you will be able to download that report. So we have plenty more information on this topic if it's something that you're interested in. So now we're going to just go ahead and get right into the webinar. I want to invite Michelle on to go ahead and kick things off. So welcome, Michelle.
Thank you, Lauren. Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Chen. I'm a Client Success Manager at Chatly. Today, I'm going to share some tactics that financial service firms can use to optimize their WeChat official accounts and increase engagement, retention, and conversion rates. So in the year of 2020, COVID-19 has not only changed our daily lives, but also changed how businesses are operating. And we see a lot of financial companies around the world moving their operations to online. In China, WeChat is a key platform for financial service. With its broad range of features, firms can bring the entire customer life cycles within the WeChat ecosystem, and from account opening and the management to consumer education and the customer service. So in today's webinar, due to the limited amount of time, I'm just going to focus on the core initial touch points consumers will interact with during the first week of following your WeChat accounts. And why the first week is important, it's like making a good first impression. And from our experience, optimizing these touch points in the first week will immediately engage leads and has huge potential to increase acquisition, binding rates, and the conversions. At Chatly, we have determined 5 core initial touch points, which are WeChat search, 48 hours journeys, the menu bar, customer service, account registration, and the management. So I will go through each of them and explain what they are, what are the best use case we have seen, and how you can use these initial touch points to meet your KPIs. So just before we start, I want to share that the information we are sharing today comes from original research, looking at leading Chinese firms as well as several Western firms. So let's get started. The first touch point is the search and acquisition. So what is WeChat search? I believe most of you who ever use the WeChat already know that at the top of the homepage or in your Discover tab, WeChat allows users to search for a brand. And what are the search results in terms of brand search? Users can see all of the brand's WeChat properties, including your official accounts, mini programs, and the recent articles. So if a brand has a very strong WeChat presence, they will be able to apply for what is called a brand zone, and which prioritize brand properties at the top of the search results. If search has not been optimized, then third-party content such as articles from other accounts or friends' social posts may rank higher on the search results. So here's an example that we compare 3 Chinese largest banks and their WeChat search results. From left to right, ICBC, which is okay, Bank of China is better, and the Agricultural Bank of China is the best. All 3 of them have set up their brand zone in WeChat, which is already a step forward than many other brands. And what I want to highlight here is look at the Agricultural Bank of China. Their brand zone occupies the entire screen. And on top of the official accounts and the mini programs, they offer customer service options and links to map with nearby locations, which are much more professional and convenient for customers. So set up your brand zone if you have not, and optimize your brand zone is highly recommended. The other thing that we notice when users search for your official accounts is your account ID. So we notice that optimizing the account ID can increase exposure and gives the account credibility, helping you stand out from other fake accounts. So look at the example here that TD Ameritrade, they use the firm's names in their account ID. Compares to JP Morgan, they just use some random number and letters, which obviously make it more difficult to search and trust the accounts. Here's another good example, Bank of China. And some key highlights here. They set up their brand zone linked to their official accounts and mini programs. They have access to customer service and stock market information. They also have option take queue number at nearby branch in their mini program. So WeChat users can access all those information just by searching for the Bank of China in the WeChat. This definitely lowers the barrier and makes it more convenient for people to use your service. I'm moving to the next initial brand touch points, which is the first 48 hours. So what is the first 48 hours? This is when someone follows your official service accounts, and you can actually send them unlimited number of messages and contents within the 48 hours window. And these messages can be customized based on how they follow your accounts. Again, we compare the JP Morgan and the TD Ameritrade. JP Morgan obviously has a very weak welcome journey, just one simple text message, and they just waste the first 48 hours to identify and engage users. On the other hand, look at the TD Ameritrade. They have much better and very engaging welcome journey. I will go through their case studies in details later. So this 48 hours window can be triggered in some other ways as well, like when someone clicks on a menu or scan a QR code. We highly recommend firms to set up these 48 hours journeys and try to engage users as much as possible when they first follow your accounts. Why is that? Because they follow your accounts for a reason, and you want to provide a solution to their problem and satisfy them as quickly as possible. And secondly, because based on the user activities within your official accounts, you can label and segment users and use this data to send more relevant and more targeting message and offers. Here is some key criteria that we found during our research. So the industry average message volume in the first 48 hours is only 1.35, and only 7% of the messages that have personalized contents. We recommend that you should send at least 4 messages during this time period. And as I mentioned, that this message can be customized depending on how that person entered the account. We see 78% of messages including interactive journeys, which are, hyperlinks, mini programs, or survey, but only 43% push to binding. Remember, our goal here is to bind the users so we can identify who they are and better targeting in our marketing journeys. Here's our best-in-class case study. When someone follows the account, they will receive a welcome message with their personalized nickname, following by a list of key services with a clickable link to the company website or to a mini program. So for example, if I am already a customer and I want to, check my account information, I can just click on the number 2 in the welcome message, and I will land on my account mini program. By authorizing my WeChat information and logging into the account, the system will automatically bind my account information with my WeChat information. So now you can successfully identify me as a customer, and you can better target me during your 48 hours journeys. Likewise, you can also identify and bind users via a webinar or chatbots or any other mini programs. Or you can check which links the user have clicked on, and you can tag them and send more relevant information during your 48-hour journeys. So the idea here is to engage followers in the first 48-hour journeys, and the more engaged contents that you send, the higher chance that you can identify, bind, and convert followers. So the third touch point is service account menu bar. When someone follows your accounts, on top of the welcome journey, menu bar is another key item that followers will highly likely click on. Therefore, you want to make sure that your key services are easy and intuitive to access from your menu bar. During our research, we found that 86% of financial firms' accounts have account binding on their menu bar. And obviously, this is one of the main KPIs that financial firms should measure, because once you bind a user's accounts, you can check them across all your WeChat properties and build out a user profile, which you can then use for retargeting. And there are many ways you can bind a WeChat user, like mini program or a H5 page. And if you have concerns on data security, WeChat allows to send this personal information directly back to your server via API connections. So during our research, we found 50% of the accounts linking to at least one mini program on their menu bar. And the users can just one click to authorize their WeChat information and to bind with their verified phone number or send real-time location. And the mini program is like an app, but the users will not need to download so many apps. Instead, they can just use a mini program to like open account, check account balance, register for events, or download a white paper. And you can always send them notification and template messages to remind them to come back. And last but not least, we found 79% of accounts have access to customer support in their menu bar. This is obviously most frequently used function, and you can set up some keywords response for some standard questions in your accounts, but always make sure that customer support is easily accessed and simply labeled on your menu bar. So here's an example how you should structure your menu bar. And it's always 3 main menus and up to 5 sub-menus for each. We recommend to structure your main menu as product, service, and other promotion or social stuff. So some key highlights here for financial service accounts. Users can easily access to their accounts and manage personal finance. Users can easily find a nearby branch or ATMs and make appointments. All these functions can be a redirection link to your website, or it can be a mini program where you can identify and bind your followers and retarget in your marketing journeys. We have another good example here that Ping An Insurance is pretty advanced when it comes to the use of mini programs. And they have many mini programs linked to their account menu. And they follow probably the best practice of creating mini programs for specific purpose. For example, that they have five different mini programs to purchase each type of insurance. From purchasing insurance products to customer service to account management, the whole customer experience are clearly listed and can be easily accessed from their official account menu bar. I'm moving to the next touch point, which is a customer service. Here are the key criteria. We found 86% of accounts have set up a general auto replies. This is where you set up frequently used keywords, and when users trigger those keywords, you can reply with text message, images, or even a mini program card. 50% of accounts set up LBS, location-based service branch finders, and it will make it much easier for customers to find a nearby branch or ATM, and ideally should include appointment booking. 21% set up financial service auto replies. This is very crucial for financial companies if you want to promote your service and the products. 57% have live agency. This will require actual man-hour, but most likely your firm should already have a customer support team, and all you need is to train them how to use the live agency function in the WeChat. So if you set up keywords response sufficiently, it will help to decrease the demand for the live agency. We see 72% set up customer support access on their menu bar. This is also very crucial and high demanding function for customers. So no matter you have live agency or hotlines, you should add it on your menu bar and label it very clearly. We see only 14% have customer support mini program. We would recommend it, particularly if you have several official accounts, and you can just link all of them to a single customer support mini program. So here is an example. This account, they set up a keywords response to hi, hello, and followed by a list of service and links. So by clicking on the link, users can be redirected to the firm's website for a particular service, such as looking for a nearby branch and ATM, or contact account manager in your city. A better example is TD Ameritrade. They have developed a life support mini program and link it to their menu bar. So in the mini program, it has a list of suggested topics for users to start chats, including marketing information, open accounts, account information, about the company, life agency, FAQ, etc. So this customer support mini program can be linked not only to your official accounts menu bar, but also in your broadcast and any other mini programs. Or you can place a mini program QR code on your offline branch or ATMs. So the last but not least, the account registration and management. Some key criteria here. So we see 85% of accounts have ability to open accounts. We recommend OLS, the online sign up mini program, if you have development capabilities. And some other options can be an H5 sign up form or a redirect link to download your firm's app. And we see among those 85%, only 14% have account registration mini program, and 40% using account registration H5. The reason why those numbers are lower, probably because they may not have in-house development capabilities. So well, in this case, they can consider to hire a third party like us, who is professionally doing the WeChat product development. We also see 64% have registration in menu bar, 50% have account management in menu bar, and again, a lower number, 21% have account management mini program. So for the financial service forms, we always recommend to at least have account registration and account management set up in your official accounts. If you have mini program, you can even track their accounts activities and send them real-time messages in WeChat. This is something you would do through emails or SMS in the West. Here's an example. Agricultural Bank of China, they set up a full menu bar of options from account registration to account management. And from the menu bar, users can be redirected to a H5 page for credit card applications. Here's another thing that I want to talk about, that in China, you can ask users to log in via username and password, but phone number plus SMS verification code is more convenient and widely being used nowadays. And please don't ask for like emails, names, or ID. I mean, you can ask for those information after they log into the account, but the login page should keep it as simple as possible, because you will have much higher chance to identify and ban those users before you can collect more customer information. Here's the Ping An Insurance example again that we have talked about before. They also have the account registration mini program and account management mini program. Both are linked to their menu bar in their official accounts. So it's very easy access for the users. So we have talked about the 5 initial touch points, and we share some best case study that we have seen in the industry. So what's the next steps for you? Here are our recommendations. First, using the criteria that we have provided and evaluate your official account's initial touch points. And secondly, once you have discovered key areas for improvements, decide which ones would have the most impact on your firm's WeChat KPIs and start there. Or review the chart on our next page and start with the low-hanging fruit. So here's the chart that we map out the business values of these touch points versus the efforts it takes to set them up. If your firm just start using WeChat, I would recommend a low effort but high value, which link your mini program search, updated menu contents, set up 48-hour journeys. But if you have been using WeChat for a while or you have a team dedicated for WeChat projects, then I would recommend more efforts but still bring high business value, which includes live agent support, the ORS, the online sign up mini program, and the account management mini program. So it really depends on where you stand currently and how much efforts you would like to take. We can work on different touch points to optimize your WeChat official accounts and ultimately increase engagements, retention, and conversion rates. Well, at the end, if you have any questions or interests, feel free to scan and follow our official accounts and contact us via WeChat or emails. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Michelle. Just to let everybody know, I did see a question coming through about whether or not we will be sharing this presentation with everybody. And the answer is yes, we will be sharing Michelle's presentation with all attendees after the webinar. So you'll be sure to get a copy. Now I want to move on and invite on Katie Ryan of TD Ameritrade to share with us what TDA is doing to reach Chinese consumers. Welcome, Katie.
Much for having me. And so today I'm going to talk a little bit about our journey, TD Ameritrade's journey through WeChat, which was a real education for ourselves as well. We really wanted to enter the Chinese market. We have a strong Asia Pacific clientele already within our US broker dealer, and our main goal was to meet them where they're already engaging, as opposed to trying to get them to join our website or to follow us on some other app. We really wanted to educate ourselves on WeChat and move to a model where they're currently already present and share our education there. So in order to get started, we wanted to leverage our strong suits at TD Ameritrade, which we really believe our differentiators are education for our clients, and that education includes just a wide variety of things: the basic market knowledge, the how to get started, platform demonstrations, market commentary. And we really wanted to make that widely available to prospects, to folks that aren't necessarily clients yet, but that are interested in our brand, interested in learning about trading, learning about the US markets, or may have heard about it from their family. So we started with an official account. Our first step after that was our education mini program. That is, again, what we believe is our most powerful tool. So through our official account, we had a lot of great material that we are able to use locally here in the US broker dealer and here in the United States, but really needed to localize that content and to not only translate it, but put it in the right tone, the right voice. It also needed to be consumable in shorter forms or shorter bursts of information. So the great news was we had this giant pile of content already, but it still needed to be worked to massaged in order to fit the new platform. And I appreciate that our QR code is there. So please, shameless plug, follow us when you get a chance. We really wanted to make sure as well that the content was available to folks online and offline. So maybe they're on the train, maybe they're commuting, maybe they're headed somewhere, have a few minutes of downtime, maybe they're even at home, but quick bursts of information. I'm gonna steal a word from my coworker, Sunatable, snackable pieces of information that they can consume easily and then build upon that. So this is some screenshots of our actual education mini program. And on the right there, you'll see Lulu. She's on my team. And she herself is actually from just outside of Beijing. So we were also able to, within our company, find associates that were very WeChat knowledgeable, that were very avid users, that were using it every day to communicate with their families. So we didn't necessarily have to go out and learning from scratch or take a bunch of classes. There are folks in your organizations that are likely using WeChat to communicate with their families already. If they're traveling home, they're using WeChat Pay, they're using it for phone calls, they're shopping, they're on social media there. So it may not be familiar to you, but I can assure you that if you start asking around, there are associates in your firms that have it. Another challenge, as many of us probably all endure together, is when we are building technology, we have to be very careful about PII and protecting our client information. So we made the choice to make all this education public. We believe, again, it's our differentiator. We believe it's going to draw people into our company, attract them. They will become addicted to the knowledge and really become attached to the personalities they see in the videos. And we believe that will help convert them to being clients with us. So this is where we spend a significant portion of our time and energy, making sure that it's right, making sure that it's easy to use, making sure that the content is on point. This, our hope, and we have found to be successful, is that offering the education mini program, offering education to people for free, will draw them to open an account with us. Opening the account, I will say, is something that you will have to work closely with your compliance teams with, as it is something that's new, but it is very, very doable. And I myself find that if I were a client opening an account with TD Ameritrade, I would never go to our website again. Leveraging WeChat is so easy to open an account. It just minimizes the amount of time that you have to spend sitting in front of your computer, figuring out how to upload documents, typing in answers. It has been really a game changer for us. It has been a game changer for clients to get their accounts open. It's also the flexibility and our ability to innovate, to try new things, which we aren't always able to do on the website, has been phenomenal here. So even though I would say the concept to us here in the United States or in other areas, we're so drawn to going to our desktop and filling things out, thinking we need a giant screen or a lot of space or a scanner and a printer. This really has been broken the mold for us and expedited account opening, which ultimately has led to smoother and more efficient processes in our back end. Now, there are, of course, prospects and clients that prefer that personal interaction, especially when we're talking about your life savings, your money, and we allow folks to do that. We allow them to set up a personalized appointment through the mini program as well to come and sit with us, right? Each generation is a little bit different, so we tried to make sure that we made prospects and clients as comfortable as possible. Next slide. So the chatbot has been an efficiency game changer for us. And as most financial services industry, companies, there's email, there's phone calls, there's outbound calls, there's chats within your websites or within your trading programs, within your apps, and having the automated chatbot that is filled with information from our website and our education access to market commentary, stock quotes, account balances has been a significant, lift on our workforces. Not necessarily in the sense that we were able to reduce, I would say reduce workforces, but for us, it was able to answer the simple questions. So the calls that we are accepting, or the outbound calls that we're making, are much more powerful, meaningful conversations, whether it's trying to help someone walk through a problem, or make a life decision. Simply asking the chatbot, what's your local address? What is my balance? What is, give me an article based on crude oil negative prices. We will serve that up to you right away. It has gotten a lot of traction for us personally. We have it on our US account and our Hong Kong account, so it is multilingual. It does take some investment. It needs to be nurtured. It needs to be kept up to date, because sure enough, negative crude oil prices last week, that starts to be our number one question. So just as you're keeping your workforce updated and your website updated, you want to invest in your chatbot, because the more you invest in it, the more value it's going to provide for you. And of course, as all of us, when we call somewhere, we also want to talk to a live human, and we offer that as well. But at least it gives us some relief from the basic questions. So any questions, or Lauren, how can I next
Yeah,
step?
so before we open it up to, thank you so much, Katie. I think it's really interesting to hear your perspective from the company that is responsible for running the account. So yeah, I have a couple of questions for you before we open it up to everybody. So my first one is kind of going back to the basics. Why is digital transformation important for the financial services industry, and particularly for the China market?
So I would say for us, it allows we are a US based company, and we are all of our service teams here, allowing leveraging WeChat allows us to be a 24/7 global company, meaning it allows us to service a new segment, a new population, without having to completely set up a whole new call center, a whole new app in China. Now we are growing our presence in Asia, but we haven't had to replicate the same operations here we have in the US. And I think also our number one point is, instead of building an app and investing marketing dollars and advertising and all these other tactics that you have to deploy to attract users to your new app, this has allowed us to meet the consumers where they are. That's where they're spending 99% of their time. That was a learning for me at the beginning too, right? The concept of how we use our phones is much different, but educating them and really easing them into the US markets has, I think, been incredibly beneficial for both sides, for us to acquire clients, but then also for our Chinese consumers to get comfortable with our company, with our brand. And it's a competitive space for us. The more we've invested, we've learned that other firms and other brands are out there. So we have to continue to push ourselves to be, sort of best in class there.
Definitely. So I think you kind of touched on this a bit during your presentation, but from your experience, what are some of the challenges that firms face when starting and executing these digital transformation projects? Are any of these specific to the Asia or China market?
Sure, and I say this with love for my compliance peers and my security risk management peers. It's a new space, right? It is it's a new area, and it takes time to educate folks, to bring folks along with you, understanding data privacy laws in China versus how they currently exist here in the US. I think those are some of the challenges that we at our firm struggled with at first. It is something we've been able to overcome, but I will say it takes time, it takes conversations, it takes bringing in people like Jeff to educate folks. And I don't know if that those are necessarily specific to the Asia market, but I will say, you know, in the past few years with the trade wars with China, it has become more sensitive in the past. And the only other challenge that I would call to, you know, I think it's important to highlight is that, again, because we're financial services companies, and as much as we love to say we're innovate and we're agile, right? We're not as agile as like true smaller innovative shops. And I think making sure that you have a good partner that can help lead the way, help you understand the marketplace, help you stay agile, so that you know, your innovation doesn't become old so quickly, is something that was a challenge for us, but we were able to overcome.
Yeah, especially in a place like China, where as soon as you get something in place, there's a new technology or feature out. It's just so fast moving. You definitely need to try and keep up with that pace. You know, you kind of touched on this just then with your first with the first question that I asked you, but when you said that it took you a little while to understand WeChat and kind of its importance in China, you know, so from your experience, how is WeChat different from other social media channels around the world?
So the first I would say is everybody's already on WeChat. We need, you know, my family here in Chicago may not be on WeChat, but if you're trying to meet the Chinese consumer, they're already on WeChat. So there's no need to build an Instagram profile or a Facebook account and try and lure them in. Meet them where they are. They can do everything you need within that WeChat app, right? They don't need to leave that WeChat app. They don't need to go to a website or get home to their printer to upload and scan and all of those things. They're able to perform all the things that they want to do, open an account, get started trading, educate themselves, all in this one space. And that is really been so powerful for us. And I think that's what really sets it apart from other social media channels.
Definitely. And my last question for you before we open it up for general Q&A, you know, what's next for T-Day's WeChat journey?
Well, it's interesting. I would say we had a roadmap about 60 days ago, but the world has changed so much in 60 days that our WeChat journey may change a little bit more. We want to continue to stay focused on things like gamification, expanding our international business account, pushing more into the Chinese space as we set up business there. But I think now, and with great consultation from Jeff and Travis Collins, we need to talk about or invest more in having webinars and having, you know, leveraging tools like Zoom, creating this visual community, like seeing folks face to face, as opposed to getting out in the community and doing in-person events. So for us, we're growing and expanding, but I would say what our assumptions were 16 days ago, we're revisiting those things. How do we leverage WeChat to not only get us through this current period, but, you know, and I'm using my air quotes here, our new normal.
Definitely. And luckily, as we've seen with both Michelle's presentation and your presentation, you know, I think TDA has been in a great place during this time period because you have already brought so much of your educational products and services into the WeChat ecosystem. So you weren't as reliant on offline. So I think that's really been a benefit. Well, thank you so much, Katie. And of course, you're going to stay on the line, and we'll now have Jeff Fish, who is co-CEO of Chatly, join us, and we're going to open it up for Q&A. So I've already seen a bunch of questions come through from audience members. Some of you also sent some questions through during registration, but if you have any more questions, please feel free to send them through right now, and we'll try and answer as many of them as we can. I do kind of want to tack on, there was a question that came through during registration that I think would fit in beautifully with what Katie was just ending with right there. Well, two questions actually. So the first one, though, Katie was just talking about doing more webinars, bringing some offline engagement online, and there had been a question during registration about live streaming. Now you can live stream on WeChat. So Jeff, I don't know if you want to maybe, what are your thoughts on live streaming on WeChat for financial services?
Yeah, I think in all spaces, live streaming has accelerated beyond where it was even in 2019, which was moving at rapid pace. Because of COVID-19, live streaming in e-commerce, live streaming in financial services and education, really across the board, has seen a huge spike and will continue on with that pace going post-COVID-19. So we've seen in the financial services space a beginning of use of live streaming, certainly around education. And in many cases, that's been done through H5 or through in-app experiences. But we are seeing with the live streaming features opening up within WeChat and WeChat Work, that there's a lot of opportunity for financial services to take advantage. We actually had some of that information in our white paper with some very specific examples of live streaming.
And then, another question that came through during the registration was, how are financial services addressing the challenges during this COVID-19 period? And I think, Katie already gave somewhat of a response, but Jeff, did you have anything additionally that you would like to add to that?
Yeah, just to follow up on what Katie said, this new normal, whether you're sitting in Shanghai, Paris, or London, or New York, is going to be very much around being distant and leveraging live streaming, webinar, social interaction tools to be able to interact with your clients, and your customers, and leveraging tools like WeChat Work, like Zoom, WeChat webinar tools. All of these types of tools, which were already taking hold in China, have all just accelerated, and COVID-19 has made us solely reliant on them in some cases to interact with clients and customers. So brands like TD Ameritrade are just starting to, and I think lots of financial services organizations are shifting in that direction.
We had an interesting question that came through that maybe Katie, that you can respond to. Well, I mean, Jeff, I think you can add on as well, obviously. This is more specific for TDA and all of the account and mini programs that you guys have created. The question was, did you localize just the WeChat interaction, or did you localize the entire customer experience end to end, including the account opening process, disclosures, things like that? So I don't know, Jeff or Katie, which one of you want to respond to that first?
Yeah, I would say, so just to give a little background on TD Ameritrade history, we traditionally have been a US broker dealer, but we also had an office in Singapore, and we also have an office in Hong Kong. And we have a separate website for our Singapore and Hong Kong offices. So we're already, I feel like, a decent portion of the way there. But what we have found is that you really need to redo the whole process. Maybe your APIs are the same, you're pulling the same data points, but you really need to localize your web experience, your content to meet the clients where they are. Now, that being said, WeChat did allow us to do that much easier by connecting to our account opening APIs, as opposed to rebuilding an entire website. It was also just more efficient for us. But Jeff, I'll let you answer as well.
Yeah, I think that localization into China is key, but on top of that, WeChat-centric localization. So tailoring content, tailoring information, like the education mini program, like gamification, those are the types of content and relevant information that's not just about language, but much more about tone, voice, and experience. And I do think that that's necessary for any brand that's entering into the WeChat ecosystem.
Great. We had another question coming through during registration, which was about retaining a log of data, and whether that can be done through WeChat. Maybe Jeff, you could address that a little bit and how you can use WeChat Work for that.
Yeah, so I'll tackle it in two parts. Part one, and I saw that question come through specifically around, can you archive audio and video? And on a one-to-one personal account, the answer is no. That's just not possible. On a mini program, any information that we're capturing in that mini program gets logged in Chatly software and can push into any sort of software, whether it be an in-house solution or an enterprise stack like Salesforce or an Oracle. But if you're looking at one-to-one communication, specifically in the financial advisor space where you need to archive everything for compliance reasons, WeChat Work is certainly the solution for that. It's really started to take off in that space because it's leveraged enterprise level communication at a one-to-one scale.
Okay, great. And we've had a couple of people ask, can information, the information in WeChat sync back to a CRM system like Salesforce? Yeah,
I think that's a great follow-up to the previous question. The answer is absolutely. You can't do it direct, pull data out of WeChat and plug it into Salesforce. You need a connector. Software like Chatly software does that. There are some other players that do it as well. But in the case of the CRM that we have, we're fully integrated with Salesforce. And there are other tools that are out there that do it, but you can pull all of your official account data, mini program data, WeChat Work data into Salesforce.
Great. And we had some questions come through about the 48-hour journey, just wanting some more specifics on this. Maybe you could discuss, is the 48-hour journey, is that a limitation from WeChat? What happens after the 48 hours? Maybe you could give a little more color to that.
Yeah, I feel like this question comes up no matter what vertical we talk about. This is a limitation of WeChat. I wouldn't necessarily call it a limitation. I think it's by design. To try to anti-spam between a user and a brand, WeChat has some limitations in the type of messages that you can send. And if an individual opens up that window, let's say they ask a question of TD Ameritrade and a chatbot answers the question via the official account, or there's an autoresponder, that creates that open window between the brand and the user for 48 hours. And if you have 50 or 100 followers or even 1,000 followers, you could have people in there sending messages, sending promotions, sending offers, maybe giving the opportunity to create an account. But if you have 10,000 or 100,000 or 1 million or 2 million, you really need automation there to be able to create that one-to-one experience, but do it in a way that's meaningful and drives to conversion. So that's where the journey comes in. So it's not a limitation of a brand or of a software like ours. It's really by design within the WeChat ecosystem.
Great. We had a question about live agent chats that I think would be great to answer. The question was, when live agent chats are routed through Chatly, is Chatly acting as a representative of TD Ameritrade at that point, or how does it work exactly? So maybe you could explain a little bit more how the live chat process works.
Yeah, the answer is never, ever will our team act as a live agent for a financial services organization. TD Ameritrade has a very skilled group of individuals that handle chat all around the world, and I'll defer to Katie on that one.
Yeah, I think it's important in this scenario to realize, like, Chatly serves for us as sort of like an agile development team, right? Just as you would, you have your internal development sources that maybe work on your books of records or maintain your website. We use Chatly as a partner in our design, in guidance for understanding the marketplace, and to help us build the technology. But they hand that code over to us, and we are ultimately the ones that are actually using the tool and interfacing with the direct clients.
Got it. Thank you both for clarifying that. I've seen a couple of questions come through about setting up WeChat accounts. One question was, can I set up a WeChat account for my Hong Kong company? Are there any limits? Another question that came through was talking about, are there any requirements for opening the mini program? Are you able to do that, whether it's an international account or a mainland China account? Maybe Jeff, you could address this.
Yeah, I think that it's gotten a lot easier, even though in the financial services space, it's still complicated with Tencent, especially if you don't have a Chinese business license. So the answer is yes, a brand can do it. They'd have to create, if they don't have a China business license, something called an international business account. And there's certainly tools that out there, if you Google it, take you to Tencent's website so that you can start that process. That is something that we provide for our clients, and there are certainly lots of other service providers that do that as well.
Great. And another, going back to the data questions that we were discussing before, can you maybe talk about, obviously this is very sensitive for financial services. So where is the data being stored? Is it being stored in WeChat? Is it being stored somewhere else? Maybe you could touch on that.
Yeah, so I'm not going to speak specifically to any one client, but I will tell you that Chatly software takes in a lot of data, interaction data, experiential data, can be PII data if necessary. Certainly any interactions between the mini programs and the user, the official account and the user, or WeChat Work and the user. That data can all be stored within our software and then can be pushed to other systems of record. If you're looking at cross-border data, especially around data privacy around PII, that is sensitive and needs discussion and is really on a brand by brand cases.
Great. And one more question, maybe Katie, you'll be able to answer this one. I'm sure you both can, but how can I set up my team to succeed in launching WeChat projects? Any recommendations on how to structure a big organization to overcome blockers?
Oh, that's a big one. Yeah. So first I would say within your, if you have a large organization, find folks that are using WeChat regularly. Find folks that will give you honest feedback. Find folks that are true users of it. I think what a lot of times that I have to remind myself is the way I use my phone and the way I engage, I'm not the target audience here. So you really need to find folks to who have that mindset. In a way, we have broken it up, our WeChat account into specialized areas. So it's really everyone's invested in making it a success. So our education team, that's what they do well. They own the education mini program. Our OLA team, that they own the APIs. They work on the OLA mini program. We have outsourced for design resources because it was simply just a skill set we did not have in-house, and that's where we've leaned on Chatly quite a bit. But I would say the same people that are building your website for your US clients are not the same people that should be building your WeChat experience, in my opinion. And unless over time they've learned, but I think that would be my one piece of advice.
Great. Yeah, no, that's some great advice about breaking it down into different teams. And one last question for you, Jeff. It says, we know that we can create a public account and mini program ourselves. What's the difference between using Chatly and doing it ourselves?
Yeah, I'd say connected data. That's a big one. Connecting that data across the ecosystem and then pulling it into a system of record, whether it be our system of record or a system like Salesforce. And then having enterprise software that allows to make sure that you're compliant, to make sure that you're secure, especially around, this conversation, we're talking about financial services data. This is highly sensitive data that you want to make sure is secure and handled correctly. So that's the difference. I think there's probably a couple thousand development shops in China that do some sort of WeChat development. having enterprise software just makes it more secure and protected and scalable.
Great, thank you. Well, we're going to wrap things up there. There were some other questions that came through, but please feel free to reach out to us. I don't want to take up any more of anyone's time today, but thank you so much, Katie, for coming on and sharing with us today. And thank you for our first presenter, Michelle. And again, if anybody's interested in learning more about this topic, we did just put out a white paper, which you can find right on the homepage of our website, which we have listed up here, just chatly.com. And we will be sharing Michelle's presentation as well as a recording of today's webinar. I saw somebody brought that question through in the Q&A. So yes, we will be sharing a replay probably sometime early next week. So just keep an eye out for that. And again, thank you all so much for attending, and feel free to get in touch with any additional questions.